Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. I brought the bass back because Chris asked a ton of questions about it, and I thought I would just do a video because it's easier than responding to all these questions, these crazy questions. So, a couple days ago, I kind of said, hey, by the way, for the last 6 weeks or so, I've been playing bass guitar, and I haven't talked about it at all. I haven't told anybody about it. I've just been doing it as kind of like my little thing to do. I'm absolutely loving this instrument. I'm really glad that I bought this particular thing because this has me very motivated to continue playing. So let's just get to Chris's questions. First, I'm going to answer his last question first. He said, are you a Cliff Burton fingers player or a Jason Newsted pick player? Right now, I'm sticking strictly to fingers. That's the sound that I like. If you're not a guitar player, playing with a pick makes things sound more... It gives it a little twang. It's got a little catch to it. It's a little tinnier, which... it's just not the sound that I'm looking for. However, it's a completely valid sound, and I think it's almost necessary for some genres of music, particularly the music that I listen to. Almost all punk is played with a pick. Almost all rock is played with a pick, or even heavy metal. But you can find examples of players who played fingerstyle in those kinds of bands. So it's kind of, it's up to the bassist, but obviously, if a song really calls for it, there's nothing wrong with playing pick. However, I like the sound of that mellow tone that you get playing with fingers. And in fact, I like the sound of an acoustic double bass, which is the reason why I picked this instrument. This is called a P-bass, a precision bass, single hum canceling pickup. And this instrument was designed specifically, this is the first electronic bass instrument designed in the 50s by Leo Fender. This was designed to sound as close as possible to a double bass with a shorter scale. This is a 34-inch scale, and I think a double bass has something like a 47-inch scale or something like that. So the intent was to make this instrument sound as much like an acoustic double bass as it can, but be playable by guitar players. So an acoustic double bass doesn't have frets. This has frets. This was designed for guitar players to play bass because there weren't enough bass players. And buying a huge double bass and the learning how to play that instrument with no frets is a huge challenge. So this is intended to emulate that sound, and that's the sound I like. I like that clean, just thumpy bass sound. I will, however, be playing pick eventually. I will do both. But for right now, personally, I like the tone that I get with my fingers, and the course that I'm learning from is fingerstyle only. But I will go to picks eventually, and maybe I'll let you know about it when that happens. Okay, he said, what's the first song I learned? I had to go look. I'm not really focusing on learning songs. In fact, yesterday was the first time, and it was that... what did I say? I said whatever it was yesterday, I was completely wrong. Good. Good by Better Than Ezra. Malia said she wants to play that song. I said, sure. And it's a very simple, very simple song to play. It's actually supposed to be played on a 5-string, but whatever. You can play it on this. As long as both players are playing in the same key, it doesn't matter. So that was the first song I sat down and tried to figure out. With just tab and stuff and me listening to the song. Otherwise, I'm not doing that yet. It's only been 6 weeks. I'm not really focusing on learning songs. What I'm trying to learn is form, trying to make sure my wrists aren't too bent. I'm trying to get my fingers to pluck evenly. I'm trying to get get my hands to contort the way they need to play the instrument cleanly, trying to get good pinky sounds without fret buzzing, all that sort of stuff. So I've been going through the course, and the first song that we played in the course was... Man, I just looked it up and I've already forgotten it. It was a Van Halen song. I don't remember what it was. A very simple, maybe 2 notes bass line, just one of those kind of things where you're just playing quarter notes back and forth or whatever. And really, so in that course, we have learned quite a few song parts, but we haven't. It's not focused on learning full songs. It's like, here's the opening to Sweet Home Alabama. If you want to go play along, you can. So yeah, after this course, and maybe before then, maybe soon I'll be doing that. But for right now, most of my time with this instrument is literally like playing scales, playing pentatonics, running through just finger stretching exercises and walking exercises for speed, working on eighth notes, just getting them as evenly and cleanly as possible. Like literally just pick this thing up, I'll put on a metronome, and I'll just run eighth notes on every string until I get that nice, clean, even, on the beat eighth note. And I'm not galloping, and I just do that. Or I'll just run scales, just run major scales, run minor scales on all different positions on the neck, just goofing off. It's mostly just getting the rhythm, getting the literally the rhythm, but also getting in the rhythm of just picking this thing up and toying with it. I will probably, after the course and maybe before then, start learning some Vlogging Molly stuff. I'll probably Malia wants to play some more Valores stuff, so I'll learn some of their stuff. I would love to. I've been watching a lot of Mike Freeman's channel. If you don't know who Mike Freeman is, he's the bassist for Rancid, and he is probably one of the best punk ska bassists ever in existence. So I've been watching. He has a channel where he does a lot of playthroughs, and I've been watching his stuff, and I'll probably try to emulate a lot of his work. And then I'll go to pick stuff and learn how to pick. I have picks. They're Nathan's picks from Vlogging Molly. I will use those because I don't know what to buy. We'll go from there. He says, now that you're playing bass, have you started listening to Primus more? Only because, right? Like, I listened to Primus as a kid and thought they were great and goofy and fun and wild and, different, which I was. And I kind of stopped listening to them. But it's kind of difficult to avoid them when you start watching bass content. People start going, oh my God, what is this stuff, right? And so, yeah, I've listened to more of them just because I listen to more like bass playthroughs and bass video, whatever. I'm not chasing that sound myself. But yes, I mean, I've listened to Primus quite a bit in my life. Is this your first instrument? No, this isn't even my first bass. We've talked this before. I started off as on keyboards as a child. I taught myself November Rain. My sister had the sheet music to November Rain by Guns N' Roses, and I taught myself that piano part, and then went from there to like Mozart, the standard Für Elise and that kind of thing. And then I had a piano teacher for a while. I babysat for her, and she gave me some lessons. And then in middle school, I went to drums, played percussion all through high school. But I mostly played mallet instruments, so xylophone, marimba, that sort of stuff. And I was very good at that. And then bass was my next instrument, harmonica, guitar, and now back to bass. So I've tried a little bit of everything. This is the most fun I've had with an instrument. Oh, I have a dulcimer also, but I mean, playing dulcimer is, and by what I don't mean a hammer dulcimer. I mean like a mountain dulcimer, an Appalachian dulcimer. It's basically just a one-stringed instrument with some droning strings. So you play one string, and you just jiggy jiggy jiggy, and you play like classic kind of bluegrass type stuff, whatever. So this is my second bass guitar. My second attempt at it, but this has just been fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. He said a fun way to learn to play is to play jingles and songs right away when watching TV. Yeah, I'll get into that. I'm actually started to in the course that I'm in, we're starting to learn ear training stuff, learning positions. Intervals is what it's, whatever. That's a whole different. Come on, we can talk about intervals for days and days and days. Yeah, I think that's all his questions. That's all. That's all your questions, I believe, Chris. This has been, I mean, this has just been a fantastic piece of wood that I've loved holding for almost 2 months now, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. And I'm already thinking about, my next bass. This is a P bass, which has a very specific sound. It's probably the most recorded bass sound on record. Like, this is a studio performer because it sounds clean, it sounds tidy, it's a known thing, and it's been recorded for 80 years now or whatever. So it's a very, very, very heavily recorded instrument. But there are other sounds that other basses make, and I think my next bass will be a Stingray, which is Leo Fender designed the Stingray also. It was his company called Music Man. And the Stingray sounds, the Stingray is the sound of most metal. Like if you've heard a lot of really driving bass sounds that have grittiness to it, that's probably a Stingray. So I think that might be my next bass, just to play with tone. But I'm not, when I say my next bass, it's probably next year. I'm going to play this thing at least, all the way through this year. I don't really have any reason to chase tone right now. I bought the P bass, I bought the tone that I wanted. I knew what I wanted. I wanted that classic do-do-do, that classic just clean bass sound. And I'm going to play with it until I want something different. But I think it's going to be a Stingray. Okay, got any more questions? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is waspish. It is an adjective meaning irascible and petulant, given to resentment. Rebecca can be waspish, but we forgive her because she gives the best galas. Waspish. W-A-S-P-I-S-H. Is that meaning like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant wasp? Is that like you're being waspy? Is that the same thing?